it's interesting because wisdom and power is like this, like a big conversation, or and this is something I've been thinking about a lot. It's like, how do we cultivate wisdom? How do we cultivate power? And it seems like wisdom is in a lot of ways cultivated kind of in unknowing. It's cultivated maybe in small communities and becoming embodied and doing certain practices and being contemplative, right? And you see this, you can have monks and you can have deep practitioners that are very immersed in kind of these kind of practices and these kind of communities, but at the same time they can kind of get stuck there. And then you have entrepreneurs and these different people that are kind of pursuing power, and they're building things and they're creating things in the real world, and they develop all this power and they have ability to move things, but it's almost like these wisdom and power get divorced from each other. And this is one of the interesting things about power, is that it really feels good. To have power, to feel powerful, to feel like it feels good, and to feel powerless and to not have that, it doesn't feel good. So there's almost like there's this, the only way I can make sense of this worldview, right? It's very difficult to step into this TESCREAL worldview. But if you really think about it as like, oh, I just like being in power. I just like being powerful. I just like only looking at what's good, only looking at the optimistic thing. Like, it just feels good, and I'm addicted to that, and I'm unwilling to, step into like look at the dark side of these things, and to kind of, be like, oh, actually I'm wrong, or actually, like, for myself, like, I can notice how I want power, right? I want power. I can't deny that that desire is there, but I also am weary of that, right? I'm also weary of that. Like, at the same time, I'm like, whoa, like, I know I want this, but I don't want to take power in a way where I'm manipulating, or take power where, it's misguided and where I end up harming people, or I'm becoming greedy. Like, it's this very like sensitive kind of thing for me. So it seems like it's very easy to become addicted to that.
It is, and everything you're saying also implies a kind of introspection and internal work that one has to do on the path to become more conscious of what's going on inside of you, and being conscious of those impulses and those drives and those lower level sort of ways of functioning and being in the world. But the problem is, this worldview you're describing militates against that introspective work. And just to spell it out for people a little bit in case they don't know, this worldview you're referring to as being transhumanist, accelerationist, sort of technological utopian, sort of techno-utopian optimism. And the impulse is to just accelerate everything happening as much as possible, and also tied up with a kind of determinism and materialism too. So it's like feeling like, well, it's inevitable anyway, which ultimately determinism is a separate thing, which doesn't make sense because it's self-refuting, but also a kind of materialism where some of these folks actually think that there's no meaningful difference between like being a human and being a carbon-based life form, and being a computer chip and being a silicon-based life form. And the whole idea that humans might be replaced with silicon-based life and with computer chips, for them is not necessarily a bad thing. So there's all kinds of pretty crazy assumptions and ideas built into this worldview. But all of that, if you hold that, it militates against the kind of work that has to be done to overcome that, right? Because it's like flat. It's like there is no interior. It's all just material. There's no interior reality or reality to values. Like the world that they're living in is completely flat and devoid of the kinds of things that would enable us to actually do the work that has to be done to have a more conscious relationship to our technology. So, the only way out is to help people not fall into that worldview. I think we have to find a way to not enable that worldview to become as dominant as it's becoming.
Yeah, it's like, it seems like you have to do so many like backflips and like intellectual stuff to maneuver around to even like see things. Like it's hard for me to even like I almost want to like put on like a VR set or like that can allow you to like really embody that and like what this, because from a certain perspective it seems like so disconnected and so depressive. And like some of the people that push this stuff, they don't seem right on the surface. They don't seem like they're depressed. They seem so positive, so like this is the only view. And it's like how it's interesting how people could hold such radically different views.
It is. It's hard to understand. Actually, I think the left hemisphere, right hemisphere lens can be
great
helpful
frame.
here, because to me it's a real insight when you connect the dysfunction and pathology of the tech materialist determinist worldview with understanding the worldview of people who literally have right hemisphere dysfunction, and like the sort of left hemisphere worldview. They literally are disconnected. It's like they're living just through their left hemisphere. They've lost their right hemisphere connection to reality. They're no longer really grounded in a whole brain, whole body, embodied connection to reality. I actually think that that's what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with very dysfunctional, disconnected people and orientations to life, and they are using their power in ways that are creating environments that make those dysfunctionals more prevalent and more common, to the point where even well-intended parents justify perpetuating those technological environments on their children, not really seeing the damage that they're doing. Just to kind of loop that back in again.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably one of the best frames, and I love, McGilchrist's work around this, the left and right brain.
Yeah, it's so important. Yeah, so interesting.